Noy Krishna Premere Swabhavi Dasya Bhava Shekaroy. So this is the influence of Krishna Prem. What is that? Pita Mata Guru Sakha Bhava Kene Noy. Irrespective of what relationship one is in with Krishna, like Nanda Baba, he is the father of Krishna, Mata, Jashoda Mata, Guru, Upananda, in Vrindavan actually. This is, we are talking about Vrindavan first time. In Vrindavan, Upananda is in the position of Guru. And Sakha, like Subal, Sudan, etc., and others, Bhave, can annoy whatever the relationship they have with Krishna, all the emotions, whether those of father, mother, teacher, or friend, are full of sentiments of servitudes. Why? Krishna Pramer Shobhave. That is the nature of the love of Krishna. That is the nature of love of Krishna. That is the Krishna Prem Shobha. Eka Krishna Sarva Sabhya Jagat Ishwar Arjata Savatar Seva Kanuchar. This is a very important verse that Eka Krishna Sarva Sabhya. Lord Krishna is the master. Sarva Sabhya. He is the object of worship for all. Lord Krishna, the one master and the Lord of the universe, is worthy of being served by everyone. Ar jato savatar sevakanuchar. Indeed, everyone is but a servant of his servants. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Gopi Bhartu Padakamalayor Dasa Dasan Dasa. Even in Sri Krishna Bhavanamrita, there is a very beautiful scripture written by Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur that discusses about the intimate Vrindavan pastime of Radha and Krishna. There he reveals the mood of the devotees who are serving the gopis, they're assisting gopis in serving Krishna. There he explains that Sevakanuchar, those who are engaged in assisting the gopis in Vrindavan, who are directly serving Srimati Radharani, and Srimati Radharani is directly serving Krishna. So those gopis, in the mood of the assistant to the gopis, they actually enjoy even more satisfaction and happiness. Anyway, these are happening in the transcendental realm. So therefore it is said here, Ar Jatasoptak Savokanuchar. Actually, man bliss of the supreme bliss of Krishna consciousness is experienced by a devotee when he is serving the devotee of the Lord. Shri Krishna avatirna Chaitanya Ishwar Ataiva Arasavatar Kinkar. Shri Krishna avatirna. So far, we have been discussing about that Krishna, who is Sarveswara, who is the supreme, who is the master of all, and that Krishna, say Krishna avatirna. Now that Supreme Lord, who is the master of all, has appeared, Chaitanya Ishwar, in form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Ataiva Arasava Tahar Kinkar. Therefore, all others are his servants. That same Lord Krishna has descended as Lord Chaitanya, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everyone, therefore, is his servant. Now, this is a very important verse where Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami explains, Keho mane, keho na mane, savatar das, jena mane tar hoi sei papenas. Very important verse. Keho mane, keho na mane. Some accepts Krishna as their master, or you can say Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, their master. Keho na mane. Some others don't accept him as his master. But according to Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, whether you accept him as your master or you don't accept him as your master, Savatar Das, by default, according to your Swarupa, you are his servant. How? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Jiver Swarup hoy, Krishna Nitya Das. So according to your Swarupa, you are his servant. Whether you accept him, your master, protector, your maintainer or not, or we accept or not, that doesn't matter. Therefore he says, Jena mane. Then again he is giving a very, very strong statement. If you guys don't accept him as your master, then tar hoy sei pape nas. This is a papa, this is a sin. You don't accept Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as your master, as your protector, that means you are committing a sin, and this sin is going to destroy you. You will be ruined. Some accept him, whereas others do not. Yet everyone is his servant. One who does not accept him, however, will be ruined by his sinful activities. So here, when we don't accept him, that is a sin. What does it mean? That means when we don't accept Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as our protector, as our master, then we don't follow the injunctions that are given to us by the servants of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That means we are going astray from the Vedic culture. What is the Vedic culture? Vedic culture means the set of practices which are enjoined in the Vedic literature for the people who follow the orders of the Vedas. So when we don't follow, then what happens? Veda nishtha madhya adhya Veda mukhe mane Veda nishiddha karya karma kare dharma nahi gane. So they will be engaged in activities averse to the Veda. Then they will not follow any religious principles. That's how they will become sinful. As a result of their sinful activities, they will be ruined. But here in the first line, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is making a very beautiful statement. Keho mane, keho na mane. Let us understand this. Here we have got many fathers sitting here in this class. My dear fathers, I will ask you a question. If one day, well, let us not talk to you, let us talk in general. Maybe, one son, he does not accept his father as his father. Okay? Do you think if one day the son becomes mad, and out of madness, he says, no, you are not my father. Does it mean that he is not his father? No. Whether your son accepts you as your father or he does not accept you as his father, in whatever condition, you are still his father. Right? By son being mad and denying that you are not his father, that does not disqualify. His statement does not disqualify you to remain the father of your son. So, similarly, here, these living entities who have developed their attachment to this material world out of intoxication when they are in touch with the material association, they deny the position of Krishna as their father, their protector. But Very interestingly, Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami is saying whether you accept him or don't accept. Yet everyone is his servant. As we said, even if son does not accept him as father as father, still he is father's son. Ah. So in this connection, how to understand there are so many people in this world who are infected by the atheistic mentality and they don't accept the existence of God. Now we will prove to you they are actually following God, but they do not know that they are following God. Like we said, he is the son of the father, but he does not know that he is the son. How to understand this? Let us understand this. Whether somebody is a materialist or now whatever non-devotee you can say, even the atheists, in their daily behavior, we can see they are always in search of eternity, right? They want some objects which can remain with them forever, and they want um, mm, they want bliss, happiness out of those objects, right? And of course, there are some people who are also in search of the eternal knowledge. So this quest of the living entities shows that these qualities are only in Krishna. So whether somebody is a materialist or a devotee, when they are searching for the Sachidanandamaya Vastu, they are actually searching after God. Unfortunately, the materialists, they do not know. They are trying to find the Sachidananda Vastu in perishable objects because they are always searching after happiness for this material body. They do not know that this happiness they are searching after by identifying with the object of the senses, or you can say the form, touch, taste, etc. These experiences are limited to this material body. But in the transcendental platform, this original taste, form, experience of original form, taste, smell, touch, etc., are experienced with Akhila Rasamrita Murti. These are all rasa, right? That living entities are searching after in this material world, and they are trying to satisfy their desires by bringing the senses in contact with the sense objects to experience these objects, rupa, rasa, gandha, sabda, sparsha. But they do not know that actual rasa, rasa vigraha, rasa vaisa vede bali tuya karegan. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he writes, rasa vaisa bali tuya vede karegan. You are actually rasa. That's why Srila Rupa Goswami, he says in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Akhila Rasamrita Murti. Who is he? He is Krishna. He is not Dwaraka Krishna, he is not Mathura Krishna, he is Vrindavan Krishna. So Krishna, Vrindavan Krishna, being Akhila Rasamrita Murti, he is actually should be taken shelter. And everybody is searching after him, but these people, they do not know. So the search after the happiness in this material world will subside when one gets Krishna. That's a fact. Now the question can be asked, how can one get him? One can attain him through sadhana. This is very important. By sadhana bhakti. If somebody, without following sadhana bhakti properly, Very important point. We need to understand this. If somebody, without following sadhana bhakti properly, for the name's sake, he says, "Oh, I have attained Krishna, or I know Krishna bhakti," or he tries to attain the release in Krishna consciousness by applying his intellectual approach. You cannot release Krishna consciousness by speaking in mind that you are doing everything, and by applying your material intelligence. You think you can release Krishna consciousness? No, it is not possible. We can take an example. Uh, mm, have you taken Sundays? I think ISKCON devotees must have eaten Sundays, because in all temple, Prabhupada introduced Sundays. Every day you must be offering Sundays to Krishna. Now just take this example. If one day some devotee, they sit, very intellectual people, they apply their intelligence and they discuss so many things about Sundays without testing it. Do you think their intellectual understanding is going to make them understand the taste of Sundays? No, you can't. Neither you cannot release the taste of Sundays by meditating on it. You have to eat it. And therefore, Krishna is saying, Joyesam Purusham Sakshat Atma Prabhavam Ishwaram Na Bhajante Vajananti Sthanad Bhrashta Patantyadha. See, here he is saying, Jena Mane Tar Hoy Sei Pape Nash. This is the reference in Bhagavatam. Joyesam Purusham Sakshat Atma Prabhavam Ishwaram. Atma Prabhavam. Actually, Krishna is the source of all. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Aham sarvasya prabhava matta sarvam pravartate iti mattva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvita. Right? He is our source. Aham adi hi devanam, aham bija pradapita. So many times he is saying. What is the difficulty in understanding and accepting Krishna? There is no difficulty, right? So therefore he says, Jo esam purusham sakshat atma prabhavam ishwaram. One who does not accept Krishna as their source, and no bhajanti, he does not worship him. Not that I just speak, oh, I worship Krishna, I accept Krishna, I accept Krishna consciousness. Then I make a lot of offenses. No, that is not worship, Krishna's worship. That's therefore saying, if you accept Krishna, Krishna is your source, then you are engaged in his devotional service, and that is perfect. But if you just philosophically accept Krishna is your source, master, protector, guru, whatever you may say, and then no bhajanti, you don't worship him, avajananti, then you commit offense, avagyan. You neglect him. Neglecting him means Krishna, Krishna's devotee, Krishna's paraphernalia, Krishna's incarnations, everything should be accepted here. If we neglect or if we often we avagyan, we don't value, we don't give respect to Krishna, Krishna's devotees, Krishna's paraphernalia, his incarnations, his dham, etc., then what happens? Sthanad bhrashtaha. That person will fall down. Therefore it says he will be ruined by that papa or that sin. Patanti adha. Srila Prabhupada is giving a purport. When a living entity forgets his constitutional position, he prepares himself to be an enjoyer of the material resources. Sometimes he is also misguided by the thought that service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is not absolute engagement. In other words, he thinks that there are many other engagements for a living entity besides the service of the Lord. Such a foolish person does not know that in any position he either directly or indirectly engages in activities of service to the Supreme Lord. It says, you know or don't know, somehow or other you are directly or indirectly engaged. Huh? Actually, if a person does not engage in the service of the Lord, all auspicious activities encumber him because infinitesimal living entities. Because the living entity is infinitesimal, the allurement of material enjoyment attracts him and he tries to enjoy matter, forgetting his constitutional position. But when his dormant Krishna consciousness is awakened, he no longer engages in the service of matter, but engages in the service of the Lord. In other words, when one is forgetful of his constitutional position, he appears in the position of the Lord of material nature. Even at that time, he remains a servant of the Supreme Lord, but in an unqualified or contaminated state. He remains a servant of the Lord, but in a contaminated state. This is the difference. Therefore, we teach everybody to accept Krishna as their master. चैतन्येरदासमुई चैतन्येरदासमुई तारदासेरदास. Three times Lord Acharya is saying, Chaitanya Das Mui, I am servant of Chaitanya. Chaitanya Das, I am his servant, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's servant. And Chaitanya Das Mui, again he is saying, he is confirming, right? Harer Nama, Harer Nama, Harer Nama Yuva Kevalam. Three times means ascertaining. So this is what, that means nobody is outside of this. That everybody is servant of Sri Chaitanya. I am a servant of Lord Chaitanya, a servant of Lord Chaitanya. I am a servant of Lord Chaitanya and a servant of his servants. Eto bali nache gai, hunkar gambhir, khane ke baliya bich acharya haiya susthir. Saying this, Advaita Prabhu dances and loudly sings. Then, at next moment, he quietly sits down. Bhakta Bhimanamula Sri Balarame Sei Bhave Anugato Tara Amshagane. So here, Srila Advaita Acharya is an Amsa. Is his part and parcel, right? Who's Balaram's. Therefore, and here it says, Bhakta Abhiman Mula Sri Balarame. Bhakta Abhiman. Assuming oneself as a devotee of the Lord, that characteristics is originally there in Balaram. If Balaram has this Bhakta Abhiman, then all his expansions also will have this Bhakta Abhiman. Therefore, Advaita Acharya, he has this Bhakta Abhiman and he is distributing this bhakti to everyone. The source of the sentiment of servitude is indeed Lord Balaram. The plenary expansion who follow him are all influenced by that ecstasy. Taravataraika Sri Sankarshan Bhaktavali Abhiman Kare Sarvakshan Taravataran Srijut Lakshman Shri Rame Dasyati Ho Kaila Nuksan Shankar Sanavatar Karanabdhisai Tahar Hriday Bhakta Bhav Anujayi. Lord Sankarshan, who is one of his incarnations, always considers himself a devotee. The next, another of his incarnations, Lord Lakshman, who is very beautiful and opulent, always serves Lord Ram. The Vishnu who lies on the causal ocean is an incarnation of Lord Sankarsana, and accordingly, the emotion of being a devotee is always present in his heart, right? Whether we speak about uh, uh, Sankarshan and we speak about Lakshman, we speak about even Karnadaksha Vishnu, everybody is actually having this mood of servant. In the mood of servitude, they are always engaged in serving Krishna. Sankarshan, this is our Karnadaksha Vishnu. Uh, he is actually protecting, he is actually serving Krishna in the matter of creation, right? So, in that way, those who are coming from Balaram, they are all the servants of the Lord. Tahar prakasha bhed advaita acharya kaya mano vakya tar bhakti sadakarya. Tahar prakash. Advaita is a separate expansion of him, this Shankarsan or Balaram also you can say. He always engages in devotional service with his thoughts, words, and action. See, Kaya Mana Vakya, with his body, mind, and words. How he is engaged in the service of the Lord through his body, mind, and words are discussed in the next two verses. वाक्ये कहे मुई चैतन्य अनुचार मुई तार भक्त मने भावे निरंतर जल तुलसी दिया करे कायात सेवन भक्ति प्रचार्य सब तारिला भुवन. How Advaitacharya is engaged in serving Krishna by using his body, words, and mind. It is explained here. Vakya kahe mui chaitanya anuchar. Through his words, he always says, I am a servant of Chaitanya. That is a declaration. And mui tar bhakta mane bhave nirantar. And in his mind, he always meditates. He always thinks that I am his devotee. And then with his body, what he is doing? Jalo tulasi diya kare kayate sevan. We have heard Advaitacharya sitting on the bank of Ganga at Santipur. He was always, every day, serving Krishna by offering Ganges water and tulasi leaf. That is one way. He is engaging his body. Another way is Bhakti Pracharya Sab Tarilabhuva. Like you sometimes also do Bhakti Prachar, go to different place, right? Take a bus, take a train, sometimes take a flight, go to a different place, using your body, going and speaking to devotees about Krishna, Krishna Gatha. So like that. So Kai Manobhakya is engaged in serving Krishna. By his words, he declares, I am a servant of Lord Chaitanya. Thus, with his mind, he always thinks, I am his devotee. With his body, he worshipped the Lord by offering Ganges water and tulasi leaves, and by preaching devotional service, he delivered the entire universe. Prithvi dharen jai shesha sankarshan Kaya vyuha kari karen Krishner sevan. Ei sava hoy Shri Krishner avatar. Nirantar dekhi savar bhakti rachar. Prithvi dharenjai Shesha Sankarshan. Shesha Sankarshan, who holds all the planets on his heads, expands himself in different bodies to render service to Lord Krishna. See, very interesting point. Prithvi Dharen Jai Sesa Sankarsan. This Sesa Sankarsan, he is also a servant of Krishna. How he is serving? By holding the universe on his head, right? And Kaya Vyuha Kari. He expands his body. How? This Sankarsan, he expands his body and manifests himself in form of umbrella, in form of his bed, his pillow, his cot, his upavita. So all these things are manifestations of the body of Sankarsana, called Kaya Vyuha, that he himself manifests in form of the objects where Krishna is going to sit, that asana uh, is an expansion of Baladev, Sankarsana. So therefore, he is always engaged in serving him. These are all incarnations of Lord Krishna, yet we always find that they act as devotees. एसवाके शास्त्र कहे भक्त अवतार पदोपरि सवार. The scriptures call them incarnations as devotees, Bhakta Avatar. The position of being such an incarnation is above all others. Srila Prabhupada gives a purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead appears in different incarnations, but his appearance in the role of a devotee is more beneficial to the conditioned souls than the other incarnations with all their opulences. Sometimes a conditioned soul is bewildered when he tries to understand the incarnation of Godhead with full opulence. Lord Krishna appeared and performed many uncommon activities, and some materialists misunderstood him. But in his appearance as Lord Chaitanya, he did not show much of his opulences, and therefore fewer conditioned souls were bewildered. Misunderstanding the Lord, many fools consider themselves incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But the result is that after leaving the material body, they enter this species of jackals, persons who cannot understand the real significance of an incarnation must attain such lower species of life as punishment. Conditioned souls who are puffed up by false egoism and who try to become one with the Supreme Lord becomes Mayavadis. Ekamatra Amsi Krishna Amsa Avatar अंशी अंशे देखी ज्येष्ठ कनिष्ठ आचार ज्येष्ठ भावे अंशिते होय प्रभु ज्ञान कनिष्ठ भावे अपनाते भक्तो अभिमान. So here it is explained about Jyeshtha and Kanishtha. Jyeshtha means superior and Kanishtha means inferior. So, Ekamatra Amsi Krishna. Krishna is the Amsi. Means he is Jyeshtha, he is supreme, superior also you can say. And Amsa Avatar. Lord Krishna is the source of all incarnations, and all others are his parts or partial incarnations. We find that the whole and the part behave as superior and inferior. That means Krishna is the object of worship and the inferiors are engaged in worshipping Krishna. Jeshta bhave angshite hoy Prabhu Gyan. The source of all incarnation has the emotions of a superior when he considers himself the master, and he has the emotion of an inferior when he considers himself a devotee. This is also a very important point we need to understand. Uh, Krishna Maya Jagat. Krishna is everything. Krishna is everywhere. Krishna expands himself into many incarnations, and Krishna also expands himself as his devotees. As we know in Raga Nuga Bhakti section, the Ragatmika Bhakta, right? We discussed Ragatmika Bhakta Mukhya Brajavasi Jane. Who are Ragatmika Bhakta? They are the eternal residents of Braj. These Nanda Baba, Yashoda Mata, Gopis, they are actually their Swarupa Shakti. They are the manifestations of Swarupa Shakti. So Krishna, he, and with his expansion and his devotees, he is always there in the spiritual world. And when he expands himself in form of his devotees in the spiritual world, they are actually his servant. They are serving him. He himself is being served through his expansion, through his manifestations as his devotee. That's why it is said that he has the emotions of an inferior when he considers himself a devotee. Purport. A fraction of a particular thing is called a part, and that form which the function is distinguished is called the whole. Therefore, the fraction or part is included within the whole. The Lord is the whole and the devotee is the part or fractional part. That is the relationship between the Lord and his devotee and the devotee. There are also gradations of devotees who are calculated as greater or lesser. When a devotee is great, he is called Prabhu, and when he is lesser, he is called Bhakta or a devotee. The supreme whole is Krishna, and Baladev and all by Vishnu incarnations are his fractions. Lord Krishna is therefore conscious of his superior position, and all Vishnu incarnations are conscious of their positions as devotees. See all Vishnu incarnations. For example, if we take an example of Garbhodakshayi Vishnu. Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, he is also in the position as a devotee. From the navel of Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, Brahma appears, and Brahma actually helps in secondary creation. So that is also a service. So these devotees in form of either Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, or even Kshodakshayi Vishnu, they are actually serving Krishna in the matter of the creation. So therefore, their position as devotees, this is confirmed in the scripture. Krishner mamata haite bada bhakta pad, atma haite Krishner bhakta hoy premaspad. The position of being a devotee is higher than that of equality with Lord Krishna. For the devotees are dear to Lord Krishna than his own self. Krishna's devotees are very dear to Krishna. Now, starting with this, in next three verses, we will understand the secret of being dear to Krishna. Sometimes our devotees also they think, how can I become dear to Krishna? So you listen carefully. Chaitanya Charitamrita explains how you can become dear to Krishna. Prabhupada gives the purport. The conception of oneness with the Supreme Personality of Godhead is inferior to that of eternal service to the Lord because Lord Krishna is more affectionate to devotee than to his personal self. In Srimad Bhagavatam 9.468, the Lord clearly says, Sadhavo hridayam mahyam sadhunam hridayam tvaham mad anyattena jananti naham tebhyo managapi. The devotees are my heart and I am the heart of my devotees. My devotees do not know anyone but me. Similarly, I do not know anyone but my devotees. This is the intimate relationship between the Lord and his devotees. So, next it says, Atma haite Krishna bhakte bado parimane ihate bahuto shastra vachan pramane na tatha me priyatama atmajonir na shankara na cha sankarsana no shirnaivatma cha jatha bhavan. Krishna's devotees are more dear to him than even himself. That is being discussed here. Lord Krishna considers his devotees greater than himself. In this connection, the scripture provides an abundance of evidence. There are a lot of evidence. Therefore, the evidence has been given from the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Here, Krishna, he is speaking to Uddhava to help us understand how his devotees are even greater than himself. Na tatha me priyatama. He is saying that Atmajoni, no Sankara, no Sankarsana. Atmajoni. Who is Atmajoni? Brahma, actually. He is born from him. So, he is his son. Brahma, even though he is his son, he is not so dear to him as Uddhava. And who? No Sankara. Even Sankar is not as dear to him as Uddhava. Neither Sankarsana nor Lakshmi Devi is as dear to him as Uddhava. Nacha Noivatma cha Jathava. Even he is saying, you are so dear to me that you are more dear to me than even myself. What does it mean? This is where we understand that Krishna's devotees are most dear to him. We were saying we will understand the secret of being dear to Krishna. So this is how one becomes dear to Krishna, by being his devotee. One can ask this question. Here Krishna is saying, Brahma is not dear to him. Brahma is not dear to him? Yes, Brahma is dear to him, right? How can you say Lakshmi Devi is not dear to him? How can you say Sankarshan or Shiva, Lord Shiva, they are not dear to him? They are dear to him. So Srila Jiva Goswami says, Ato Bhaktyadhikyat yatha bhavan priyatama tatha na te ityartha. My dear Uddhava, you have more devotion to me. What does it mean, having more devotion to Krishna? See, these things when we read, we need to understand. We know bhakti is the dhatu, is the term, right? This bhakti term is produced from bhaj dhatu. Bhaj sevayam means bhakti, here it is said, jatha bhavan priyatam tatha na tetyat. Why? Ato bhaktya. Because of having more devotion to me. My dear Uddhava, you have highest devotion to me. That means what? What is the meaning of somebody having highest devotion? Like as we said, secret of being dear to Krishna, being a devotee. What does it mean? It means if you are doing more service to Krishna, then you become more dear to Krishna. This is the secret. Sometimes in our congregation or in temples, when we ask the devotee to take up some responsibility to do some valuable service, sometimes they deny, they say, no, I cannot do this. Why you cannot do this? They have their, point, why they cannot. Sometimes because of the body inconveniences, some people they deny doing service to Krishna. But try to understand, when we do more service to Krishna, then you become more dear to Krishna. That is explained here. But even though here Srila Jiva Goswami is saying that Uddhava is the greatest devotee, that's why he is very dear to Krishna. According to Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, he says, Sarva Bhakteshu Madhye Uddhava Sestha. Amongst all the devotees, Uddhava is the greatest. Tasmad api gopya. But even gopis are high-grade devotee of Krishna than Uddhava. So you can see here, those who are more deeply connected with Krishna in devotional service, they are most dear to Krishna. So the secret of being dear to Krishna means we have to be engaged in the service unto the personality of Godhead, Krishna. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada, he has created this International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Krishna consciousness, what does it mean? With your body, mind, and words, you should be always engaged in some sort of service unto Krishna. And by Prabhupada's mercy also, Chaitanya Gaur Nitai is going to so many houses nowadays, right? Before, people used to go to temple to see Gaur Nitai. Now everybody, they have Gaur Nitai at home and they are serving Gaur Nitai. Can you imagine? So, by giving us this opportunity, Srila Prabhupada has created this good fortune in us. How? By increasing our service unto Krishna, we can become also dear to him. So that is the secret of being dear to Krishna. Thank you all very much. I think I will conclude our today's session with this, how we can become dear to Krishna. Now we can invite some questions and comments. We will continue from text number 103 in our next class. So now we can ask questions or comments, my dear devotees. Krishna Chandra Prabhu, you are here today.
Yes.
Sadhu. Yes, Silas Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dhanavad Pranam, Jogesh Prabhat. Thank you for a wonderful class.
Dhanyavad, dhanyavad.
Just a small footnote, Prabhuji. The last CC class, I was inattentively hearing, so I wanted to listen to the recording again, but the recording was only 12 minutes long and very bad sound quality. If you can please nudge your the devotees there that the recording sometimes is really important for me anyway, because I go back and listen to it again to try and absorb the class properly, because I was offensive and I wasn't listening carefully last session. So I tried to listen to it again, but the recording was unfortunately not all there. So if you'll be
Rududip Nimai Prabhu, can you just check it out? Prabhu is saying. Yeah, Rududip Nimai Prabhu will just check it. Maybe sometimes there is some problem. He will deal with it, Prabhuji. He will get back.
Okay, thank you. So I have a question, Prabhuji. We just read that that Lord Vishnu here is described as also having the mood of a devotee. And then we later read in Srila Prabhupada's, one of Srila Prabhupada's purpose, that actually he takes the mood of the master when he is dealing with devotees, but when he is dealing with Lord Krishna, he takes the mood of a devotee. So is that true of essentially every expansion of Krishna from Baladev downwards? Every incarnation, each and every incarnation takes the mood of being the devotee of the Lord of Lord Krishna. Is that correct understanding?
Because if you see, because yes, how we are saying this, if you see text number 88, Bhakta Abhimana Mool Sri Balarame. Tahar Ditya Deho Sri Balaram. Balaram is his second body, right? And from Balaram comes Sankarshan, then Chaturbhyuha in Dwaraka, then from the Sankarshana in Dwaraka comes the second quadruple expansion in Parabhyam. So all these expansions, the Mula, this source is Sri Balaram. But Bhakta Abhiman Mool Sri Balaram. If Balaram has this mood and this sentiment of servitude, that means all expansions who are emanating from him will also have the same mood. This is the understanding. See, Chaitanya Charitamrita is PhD study. This is why. That's why we are giving the reference to text number 88. Bhakta Abhimana Mool Sri Balarama. Prabhupada is referring to this and he is commenting in that line.
Yeah, because this is it's very
deep subject.
It's the first,
very deep subject, yes.
Yeah, it's the first time.
Not everybody can digest this philosophy.
This is the first time that I've heard or learned this ever in my Krishna conscious life, that every expansion of Krishna actually takes the mood of being a devotee of
servitude.
Servitude. I mean, it was quite eye-opening today. So thank you. It was really quite a special session today. So thank you. Also, we
see, that's why I'm saying Prabhupada has given everything in his books. Yes. Right? You saw his purport he's explaining, and I'm just showing his text. That's why in the Association of Devotee, when we read Botanizing, we understand many things, many secrets of Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada has given everything.
Yes. And we realize more and more as we come across, other teachings and sampradayas as well, that how much more we have than anyone else. It is quite incredible. So thank you. One other question, Prabhu, if I may. We just read also how in Bhagavatam, Krishna says, Uddhava, neither Brahma, Sankarshan, no Sankarshan, no Lakshmi are as dear as me to as you are to me. And you mentioned that the expansion of that is that of course the gopis are of a higher mood even than Uddhav. But I presume each and every one in the Vrindavan mood, every mood going up from Vatsalya upwards, going from the servitude mood to Sakha mood to Vatsalya mood to Prema, all of them are actually above, because Uddhava is in awe and reverence mood, no?
Sakha,
so each of those sort of Vrindavan moods are higher than any other mood in Vaikuntha mood. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, not just the gopis. You mentioned gopis.
I just quoted from Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur. He's saying, Sarva Bhaktishu Madhye Uddhava Srestha. Amongst all the devotees, Uddhava is highest. And then, Tasmadapi Gopya. Even higher than Uddhava are the gopis. So, anyway, that's a Rasa Vichar. Those things, according to Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, I was just speaking. You can understand this later on. In Bhagavatam, you can understand.
Okay. So
Ladinir
is that something you can enlighten us?
Ladinir Sara Prem, Prem Sara Bhav, Bhavir Paramakastha Mahabhav. Ladinir Sar Prem. The essence of Ladini Shakti is love of God. And Prem Sarabhav. The essence of love of God is Bhava, Prema, that emotion. And the highest manifestation of Bhava is Mahabhava, the supreme. And Mahabhava Swarupini Radha Thakurani. Srimati Radharani is the embodiment of Mahabhava. And Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratibhavitavi Stavirja Eva Nijarupataya Kalavi Goloko Eva Nivasatya Kilatma Bhuto Govindam Adi Purushandamam Bhajami. Who are these gopis? Tavirja Eva Nijarupataya Kalavi. They are the expansions of Srimati Radharani. So Radharani is the highest devotee. We know. So they are the gopis also in that way. Anyway, those things will be clear. See, our Krishna conscious philosophy is very deep, Prabhu. And this deep aspect of Krishna conscious philosophy cannot be understood in one go or in one sitting. We have to actually, go step by step, and we have to understand previous subject, then we go to the, next subject. Therefore, these concepts, this deep concept of Krishna consciousness are explained in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And of course, in the Madhya Lila of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami also explains all these things. So those things will be understood by us later on. Let us continue studying gradually as we are doing. Then our understanding will become mature, and then maybe by Krishna's mercy one day we can understand.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. Just to apologize, I won't be able to attend Monday's Bhagavatam as well. We've had a few deaths in the family, so I've got a funeral to attend on Monday, unfortunately. So my sincere apologies for not being able to attend on Monday. Hare Krishna.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Murli Prabhu, Murli Govinda Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavatam.
Dandavatam.
Prabhuji, this is more of a practical question. Few days back, I went to one of my relatives' house. So there they have a very big Shirdi Sai Baba altar and a big photograph. And the food is, of course, they served our needs, like without onion and garlic, they made the food and they offered it to the Sai Baba. And they don't have any picture of Lord Krishna also. And even though I presented a Bhagavad Gita for them, sometimes it's very difficult for us to argue with them. because they have been into this process for quite some period, like maybe 10 to 15 years. And even though I present today Gita and sometimes I share the contents and message of Lord Krishna with them, at that point of time, they appear to be very, very interesting. See, now reading this 98 verse, in which it says that Krishna is the source of all the incarnations. All others are just part and parcel of those incarnations. Is the absolute, is the perfect. So, what would be the easiest way to convince them?
Easiest way to convince them is just give them Mahaprasadam. Feed them Mahaprasadam up to their neck for some time. This Mahaprasadam will purify. Also, purification has to take place. The prasadam is the best way. Give them prasadam.
I get so much compassion, Prabhu, because we understood the philosophy and we are enjoying ourselves. We are very joyful. So they are all like, even though they worship those Babas and all, they're not fully enjoying their lives. Like that spirituality is somewhat, it's missing. Again, they are, of course, even Krishna devotees also have to suffer. The sufferings we take in a very right spirit, because we feel always they are the opportunities for doing more and more service to devotees and as well as to love more and more to Krishna. But for them, of course, they shared some difficulties with me also. Then I was trying to explain them. These difficulties are really the boons for us to understand the nature of the God and come more closer to the Lord.
You see, what you can do is, to be very practical, few things you can do. One thing is, as I said, give them prasadam, number one.
Yes, Lord.
And number two, don't just talk philosophy to these people. You kind of, sometimes speak about how Krishna or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is so merciful. Even Prabhupada, his devotees are also very merciful. And you also show your compassion, not just by speaking to them, oh, I am very compassionate to you. Whenever there is a need, for example, somebody may be suffering from some diseases, or somebody may be suffering the pain of losing the near and dear one. At that time, if you go and talk to them with a sweet, mood, they will remember you and they will listen to you what you say. This is a practical way. Sometimes we devotees feel like always just speak philosophy. Among devotees, we need to know philosophy, we need to discuss philosophy. That is how we will develop our attraction to Krishna. Siddhanta Balya Chittana Karalos, Yaha iti lage Krishna Sudrida Manas. That is the understanding of Srila Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami. But somebody who has not actually started walking on the path of devotion, if you speak so much philosophy, they cannot digest it, they can relate to it. For them, you need to be more on the social platform. When they are suffering from some diseases, they are actually having some pain. So we just stand next to them, as I said, sometimes give them good prasadam, be friendly to them, and by being nice to them, slowly they will become.
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Okay, thank you, dear devotees. Thank you very much. There's no other question or comment. So we will conclude our session today here and see you next. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vancha